We're going to start off with our third and final section of today's conference with a wonderful speaker, Jaden Rankin-Wahlers.
My name is Jaden Rankin-Wahlers, and I'm a senior double majoring in political science and criminology. For the State of State Conference, I'll be talking about students in poverty, whether that's homelessness, food insecurity, or a variety of other issues. This matters a lot because, one, it's a student group that's not as recognized, and so it's giving them a little bit of a voice, but they deserve our respect and our empathy, and that's what I hope to accomplish.
Student poverty. Student poverty is something that I've spoken to countless groups about numerous times. And recently in my presentations, when I was preparing for today, and even walking onto stage now, I feel as though I cannot do these students justice. These students are ones that work 3 jobs, who skip meals, and still manage to fight for their chance to earn an education. These are students who sleep overnight in the hub with the bright lights above them on the uncomfortable couches, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, janitor or hub staff comes by with vacuums and moves furniture. They're students that apartment jump from each week, staying at a different friend's place, always wondering how big of a burden they're being on their friends. Today, I hope to share with you just some of their stories and some of the facts surrounding student poverty here and across the nation. It's only going to scratch the surface, but my goal is to make you understand just a little bit better where they're coming from. So to start, it's sometimes easy to look at facts. Each one of the lines up here represents a student who indicated homelessness on the most recently released FAFSA form. 90 students indicated some form of homelessness here at Penn State. And that's not including the students who are also food insecure or face other financial stresses caused by having to choose between textbooks and tuition or medical expenses and tuition. Student poverty includes all these students, whether they're homeless, food insecure, or just facing other financial struggles. And it's much larger than 90 at Penn State. The problem is, it's hard to get the statistics on it. Part of that is because Penn State itself hasn't invested enough into finding those statistics. The other part is, even when we have resources, students have problems coming and asking for help. They have problems being able to self-report it. Now, this here, you might recognize this, Ty Burrell. If you know who he is, that's fantastic. We'll get back to why he's up here later. If you don't know who he is, that's completely fine. For now, I'm gonna ask you to ignore the fact of who he is, and instead just picture him as an average grad student. I think this story best illustrates the homelessness that I encountered and the inability to ask for help, especially in terms of different aspects. I was sitting in the pantry one day. I was 19 years old at the Lions Pantry. It's a food pantry on campus, and this grad student walks in. He's in his late 20s, and he comes in and starts telling me that for the last few months, he hasn't been able to get food. He's been starving, he hasn't been getting meals at night, he's been going to bed hungry, and that was fine. But he was also a single father. And he had a daughter, and one day he couldn't provide the food his daughter needed, and his daughter went to bed hungry. And that's the moment that broke him, if you will. That's the moment where he threw away his inability to ask for help and focused on her and came to the food pantry to get help. And I think that demonstrates well how hard it is to ask for help for yourself, but how easy it is to ask for other people. And that's something that stuck with me throughout my time. Now, at this point, you might say, okay, student poverty is a thing, asking for help is hard, that kind of blurs the statistics. I've heard there's programs to help. And there are. Hearts for the Homeless, Out of the Cold, great programs. However, they cannot match the capacity we need them to. They are severely underfunded, and if all the Penn State students use them, it would overwhelm the resources of the ones who need them, and that isn't even keeping the Center County community in mind. So when we look at the facts, we know there are 90 homeless students. We have 15 people use the pantry each week. The average user comes once a month. That amounts to 60 individuals using the pantry a month on average. In addition, we know college students experience hunger at a greater rate than the average population, and most people who need our resources don't know it exists. But this isn't just a Penn State issue. This is also a national issue. So as much as I'm standing up here and saying, Penn State, we need to grow, the entire nation needs to grow too. Across the nation, on the last FAFSA form released, there's over 50,000 homeless students on college campuses. So this is a step in a growth the entire nation needs to make, and Penn State is starting to lead the way in some aspects. Now, there are groups here that are doing a great job in volunteering and getting involved in the issue. Lions Pantry will provide food to students who are food insecure. Project Care will provide toiletries, textbooks, and other things, but that's not enough. We have these resources and they're being underutilized. We know there's more people in need here. And it gets back to asking for help and how difficult that is of a concept. And that ties into stigma and the stigma there exists on poverty. When that grad student came in that day, I only asked to see his student ID. At the food pantry, that's all we ask. Oh, can I see your Penn State ID? Tally mark, hand it back. We don't record names, we don't ask questions, we just let it go. But he came in and walked up to me, who is 19 years old, probably 5 to 10 years younger than him, and he starts justifying his story of why he's there and goes into this heartbreaking tale and starts getting emotionally upset about it. And he's not the only student. When students use us for the first time, a lot of them feel the need to justify why they're there. They say that they passed out from hunger, that they went so long that they're just getting sick of eating ramen and it's actually physically affecting them, that on an exam they couldn't concentrate because of the hunger. We are here as a resource, and we welcome anyone who walks through our doors, and yet they feel the need to justify themselves out of everybody to us. And that's a tough thing to deal with. And it's especially tough because it breaks my heart knowing that these are also some of the strongest students we have on campus here. Some of the reasons these students are financially insecure will inspire you. We have students who have come out to their parents as gay and got financially cut off. We had a young woman who switched her major from engineering to English to follow what she loves and was financially cut off and food insecure. Last year, there was an individual, a young woman, who lost her parents and took custody of her younger siblings. And that's why she was financially insecure. These are students who are willing to take such a risk to follow what they love, or to follow something they are just passionate about, that they are willing to throw things up in the air in terms of finances and say, I will figure it out. Students who are willing to say, I am gay and I am willing to risk homelessness and hunger because I stand by who I am. When we talk about people in poverty, we often look at them from a viewpoint of sympathy. And that is one of the worst things we can do. These students deserve our respect, and they deserve our empathy because of how courageous and how strong they are. There are a lot of people in the community who you sit next to every day that you will never realize go through these issues because they are good at pulling it off, going to class, working all these jobs with a smile on their face, and you never know who you sit next to who faces these issues. Ty Burrell is a former Penn State alum. He went to grad school here, and for those of you who don't know, he was homeless. And he was homeless because he was pursuing grad school and pursuing his dream of acting. And he is on Modern Family, if you guys are not familiar, and he was successful in his pursuits. These students chase their education, chase their future with a passion that most of us cannot imagine. We like to sit in this room and, say we're student leaders and we support great causes, but we have not personally sacrificed everything we had to try to achieve our goals. In my time, I've talked to a lot of Penn State faculty. I've talked to a lot of other colleges and a lot of other students. And this issue isn't limited to Penn State. nor is it limited to our generation. It goes well beyond, and it has been a historical problem. But we are the first generation that is stepping up and doing something about it, with food pantries, with different housing initiatives, and the momentum is starting to pick up. Earlier this year, I had someone ask me, "Are you proud of Penn State?" And that question took me back because I've been angry and I've been frustrated and I've been upset working with these students, trying to get them everything I can. But my answer was yes. And to this day, it is still yes. We do have issues we need to work on, and we do have problems. But the beautiful thing is I can stand on a stage and tell you that Penn State encourages us to have this conversation, encourages us to get together and make proposals, which is a lot better than most universities do. So as we move forward and as this ball continues rolling forward and the programs are being more well established, I want you to know, one, that it exists and student poverty is real, but also these are some of the strongest, most incredible individuals I have ever met. And I ask that whenever you talk about them, whenever you volunteer or create a project, you treat them with the respect they deserve and the empathy they have more than well earned. Thank you.